Good morning, Democrats. Are you awake now? All right. So it's 2016. And in November of this year, young people all over this country will be voting for the first time in their lives. And the impact that young voters have already had on this election has been nothing short of inspiring and incredible. So I've been thinking a lot lately about my own first time. No, not that first time, but the first time I voted. It was in 1994, and the general election that year, the Democrats rallied behind Kathleen Brown for governor. But if you recall, those of you in the audience who are old enough to remember and were paying attention to politics, the issues in the election in 1994 were Proposition 187 and affirmative action. And Republicans, we have to say that Republicans had the wind at their backs on both of those issues. Proposition 187 was incredibly popular. It passed overwhelmingly in almost every county in the state. You can imagine that there must have been very, very smart people sitting around Kathleen Brown, advising the Democratic Party and Democratic leaders and saying there is no way to win this election if we don't compromise, if we don't change, if we don't adopt the Republican rhetoric about undocumented workers and our neighbors. I am grateful, thankful, and can only really, honestly, be standing here today as a proud California Democrat because Kathleen Brown said hell no to that advice. The fact is that politics is not a sprint, it's a relay. And when we pass the baton from one generation to the next, we pass on not just our victories, but also our defeats, not just our policy triumphs, but also our compromises. Thank God the Democratic Party of California was stupid enough to be smart to stand with our immigrant neighbors. Thank God the Democratic Party had the vision to understand that the people most affected by Prop 187 couldn't even vote. They couldn't make political contributions. They were, in a very narrow sense, totally unhelpful for us to win elections. Thank God we had the intelligence and the vision then to do the stupid thing. Thank God that Lyndon Johnson had the intelligence and the vision to say that even if it cost us the South for a generation, this party would be on the right side of history and stand with the civil rights movement. Politics is not a sprint. And don't get me wrong, of course, losing elections has consequences. When Republicans win, they damage the environment. They take away the rights of women. They limit the right to vote. We know this. We have a moral obligation to win every time we can, but we also have a moral obligation to win right. And look, it's not just about being able to make a speech years later and say that we were on the right side of history and, oh, we're so great and we're the good guys. This is also politics. Look at the Republican Party of California. It was so smart of them in the 90s to become the party of exclusion, the party of hatred, and the party of xenophobia. Look at them today. They rely on special elections to even have a chance of being relevant in California politics. You can win the sprint and lose the race if you don't look forward, you don't look ahead, and you don't understand that people that can't help you today, that are too young to vote or are not yet citizens, are going to be the voters of tomorrow. And that's why in this election, in 2016, When young voters are speaking so loudly that they want boldness from their politicians, that they want clean elections from politics, that overall and most of all, they want the same thing that Democrats have built for generations. They want the opportunity and the chance to enter and stay in the middle class. To do that, we have to be as bold, as visionary as we were in the 1940s, as we were in the 1960s. Shame on us if we tell young voters that free college is just too expensive or too much of a heavy lift. My challenge to my friends, my challenge to the politicians and elected officials, good people, all people I respect and admire and look up to and am happy to work for. My challenge to you is this: keep an eye out for what today's Proposition 187, keep an eye out for what today's Proposition 187 will be. Because it will be an inconvenience. It will be the thing that your consultants say you should not touch, that we can't possibly win, that will cost us an election. Keep an eye out, because if we make the mistake today that Republicans did in the 90s, we will not be the party of the future, we will be the party of the past. Keep an eye out for today's Proposition 187. Maybe it's climate change. Maybe it's economic inequality. Maybe it's clean elections. But whatever it is, it will not be an easy choice. And if we make it wrong, we will lose for generations to come. Thank you, Democrats. Let's get out there and make history. Everyone.